As we build components, sometimes we need to apply styles to our components. In Angular, there are three ways to apply styles to a component. Let me show you. Before starting, I want to delete some code that we're not going to use. So let's remove this part, implement onInit. We're going to look at this onInit interface in the future. So for now, let's not worry about it. Delete. And then we can also delete this method, ngOnInit, as well as the constructor. Okay, now we have a cleaner code. So there are three ways to apply styles to a component. One way is by using this style URLs property in the component metadata. So here we have an array, and in this array we can have one or more CSS files. You might have a master template, you put that first, and then you might have additional skins that you want to apply on top of the master template. Simple as that. Now the other way is by using the styles property. Styles. Now similar to style URLs, we set this to an array. And here we often use backtick so we can break up our styles into multiple lines. And with this approach, we can write our styles inline in this component. And this is exactly like writing templates inline. So if you're working with a small component with only a few styles, you may choose to write your styles here rather than in an external style sheet. Now you might ask, why do we have an array here? Why not just a simple string? Well, honestly, even I don't know the reason for this design. So this is the second way to apply styles. And by the way, Angular doesn't complain if you use both these properties, style URLs and styles, but what comes last will be the one that will be effective. And I'm going to show you that in a second. Now finally, the third way to apply styles is by writing them inline in our HTML template. So we can go to favorite.html and simply use the style tag to apply some styles here. Now, this is obviously not a good practice, but Angular allows you to use this approach if that's what you prefer. Now, back in the component, let's see how these styles overwrite each other. So first, I'm going to go in our external style sheet and apply some style there. So let's go to favorite.css. Here I'm going to define a rule for an element with the class glyph icon. So glyph icon. And I'm going to set the color to red. Okay. Now I'm going to copy this back in the component, paste it here. But this time I want to change the color to green. Now when we run the application, our icon is going to be green because we applied this last. Look, it's a green icon. However, if I take this style URLs property and put it at the end, now our icon is going to be red. There you go. Now what I want you to note here is that Angular is going to pick only one of these style definitions, the one that comes last. In other words, if I define another style here, let's add a rule for a class called glyph icon dash star. Now here I'm going to set background to black. So the star is going to be green and the background is going to be black. And then it's going to apply the styles defined in this external style sheet, which will change the color of the star to red. So you may think we're going to see a red icon on a black background, but that's not the case. Let's verify this. So we have a red star without a black background. This means that Angular is going to completely ignore all the styles we have defined here, and it will only apply the styles we defined in this external style sheet. So you really need to pick one of these approaches. Now finally, if you add any styles in the template, it will always be applied and it will overwrite any previous rules unless previous rules are more specific. And this is just basic CSS. So let's verify this. Back in favorite.component.html, here I'm going to apply glyph icon and change the color to blue. So this will overwrite the color of our star icon. Let's verify this. You can see it's blue. Now, irrespective of which approach you choose, what is interesting about Angular is that it creates a scope for these styles. So these styles will not leak outside of this component's template. So if we have a glyph icon somewhere else in our HTML document, these styles will not be applied to that glyph icon. Now, how that happens, that's the topic for the next lecture.